meeting. It will be filled with very interesting exercises and discussions that'll help us really nail down who the audience and the business goals are. The brainstorm 2 happens directly after that. It's basically our internal local wisdom regroup. We've just spent about 2 hours in brainstorm number 1 to talk through a bunch of these abstract concepts. And the group needs to come back together and kind of regurgitate what they heard and make sure everyone on our side is all kind of on the same page. And this should predominantly happen in person as well. The next step is documenting. So the first document that we start with is the experience brief. The experience brief in this state will hold only the goals and the audience information. Uh, Basically, this is a document that Local Wisdom produces, and it'll happen individually on whoever is doing it on their computer. So at this point, we have the document and we need to review the document with everyone to make sure that it makes sense, because everything will be built off of our understanding of the audience and the goals. So it's important to send it out to I'm sorry, in this step, we'll review it internally first to make sure that internally what we heard is what is being depicted in the document. And this could happen in person or offline. And then there's a second review, which is the broader team. So we we'd put it on our client lounge. We'd send an email to everybody, say, hey, look, we're open for review on this document. Please provide your input. Since it's fairly non-complicated information we're showing. I mean, for goals, it's just a bulleted list. For audience, it's these kind of personas and stories that this review can happen offline. Everyone, for the most part, should have an understanding of this already. If we need to push it into an online or I mean, an in-person meeting, we can, but generally this is an offline kind of review. And document. So as people review, they will then send in their feedback and updates to the documents, any errors that they find, and they'll generally send it to the project manager. Project manager will be responsible for collecting all that information and organizing it into our kind of deliverable and approval log, which then we'll then take and update the documents based on their feedback. So once we have a kind of a first draft of our experience brief uh, drafted and reviewed at least once by the customer and updated based on their feedback. Once we have that, we'll move on to our second phase, which is content organization. And this is where we identify content again and then start to organize it. So this starts a brainstorm 3 meeting, and the purpose is to identify and organize content. And this is where the entire team needs to kind of be involved in person. The next step is an optional step, is competitive analysis. And the reason it's here and not earlier on is because we need to really understand what are the attributes of the competitor that we're looking at. Um, for example, we don't want to kind of blindly go out there and just look at everything that all our competitors are doing. We want to specifically look at an attribute like, this is our main navigation. What are our competitors doing for the main navigation? We're calling it, um, sustainability. We're calling the label sustainability. Let's see what our competition is calling it on their websites. That type of thing. So we want to get some specific. We want specific answers to specific questions, and that's why it's at this area. So a brainstorm number 4 happens, which is our local wisdom regroup. It's an internal kind of brainstorm, and this is where we'll actually take the content that we've understood in brainstorm 3, put it together with our competitive analysis if we have any, and really start to draw out the sitemap and the wireframes. Once that meeting happens, we go back into document mode, and in this round we update the experience brief, and we get our first drafts of the content inventory, sitemaps, and wireframes. We have our internal review, so everyone who's on the internal local wisdom team will have a chance to review the four documents and give their thumbs up. And then we review with the entire team. Now this review is a little bit more in depth. As you can see, we're adding, kind of three big complicated diagrams in front of them. So this should happen in person. We should walk it through and that type of thing. And in certain instances, if any one of these documents is really large, I mean, because there's small websites and big websites, we might need multiple review sessions depending on the situation. And then again, we close out this phase by documenting. So we'll come back in and update the documents based on the feedback that we've gotten from them in the meeting. And then the third phase, finally, is the final blueprints. This is where we want to get approval and move on to the next phase. So there is a final review meeting with the entire team where we've gone back and made at least one round of revisions to the wireframes and sitemap. So this is where the final team, the team gets together and reviews everything. Basically, I have a brainstorm number 5, just in case anything crazy happens in that review where we need to go back into the drawing board on anything. This is optional, and for most cases, it doesn't really happen because everyone has a full understanding at this point. Usually this happens if someone new gets entered into the conversation and we have to kind of catch up with them and things like that. So we update all documents based on any kind of feedback we've had from the review meeting. We do one final local wisdom internal review, and then we hand off. So we get everything on the client lounge and let everybody know that, hey, we have reached approval state on all these documents, and it's ready for you guys to work your magic around and move on to the next phase of the project. And basically after that, we're done. And that, my friends, is how we do information architecture at Local Wisdom. Well, thank you. Give me a round of applause.
If you have any tech problems that need a how-to guide or ideas for an episode, send an email to share@localwisdom.com and we'll try to get them on a podcast. Our show runs off of your questions, so please send those requests in, and if your idea ends up being a share episode, we'll send you a little gift to show our appreciation. Thanks.